getting requests to do different stories. Only because half of my viewers aren't followers, so they only perk up when the word Alex Balfield is mentioned. So anyway, I'm going to do a little story today about some of the sea creatures that I've seen at sea in my 39 odd year career at sea. Now, my first time out to the tropics, I saw tropic birds, and I also saw some of the blue-footed boobies and frigate birds. Now, they are quite spectacular. If you've only lived in the UK, and the most exotic creature you've ever seen was a Canada goose or a swan, then seeing an albatross sat on a life raft is quite amazing. They're quite big birds, and to be honest, I don't know why that albatross chose to sit on this inflatable life raft just outside the window. But yeah, the frigate birds, they were something else as well, with their great long extended wings, and the storm petrels in the South Atlantic. We saw quite a few storm petrels. They're quite nice in great flocks as they skim across the water's surface. One of the other most amazing creatures that I saw were penguins down around Argentina. And of course, in some of these Argentinian ports, there would be carcasses of sharks laid up along the banks of the harbour. I don't know what they did with them, but they seemed to be left out for quite a while. But I think the most magnificent creatures that I saw were off the Great Barrier Reef, where I saw one of these giant manta rays. It did a backflip. At the time, I was on the 8 o'clock until 12 o'clock shift, so I'd come up for my lunch and I'd be sitting outside the bar in a little seating area, watching the sun go by and trying to get a bit of a suntan. Anyway, as we were going through the Great Barrier Reef, so I noticed something rather large in the sea, and so I stood up to get a better view, and this thing erupted from the sea and did a backflip and went back down again, and that was the last I ever saw it. And I've seen a swordfish, you know, the big fish with a proboscis on the end with saw teeth that come out. I've seen one of those just flip its nose out of the water as we were leaving New Zealand. It's quite a long time ago now, but you wouldn't have been able to catch it with a camera because it happens so quick. And 99 times out of 100, when you're sat on deck, you don't see anything. But I think one of the biggest creature I've seen was a humpback whale lifting itself out of the water, breaching as they do, as you've seen on the wildlife programs. That was down in Argentina as well, down in the Malacca Straits. The Magellan Straits, sorry. Malacca Straits are up near Indonesia. Yeah. So that was down there in Magellan Straits. In Argentina was where I saw the humpback. And the largest fish I've ever seen was a whale shark. Bright early morning, much like today. I went outside with my bowl of cereal to sit down in the outside seating area just to eat my cornflakes. And I looked over the ship's side, and rubbing up against the ship's side as we were steaming along, I don't know if we hit it or not, or whether we just knocked it off course and it was sliding down the side of the ship. But yes, I saw this huge great whale shark. But they're very far and few between, these things, and you don't have back then we didn't have the cameras that we've got today. Most people would carry a mobile phone, so they would be able to whip it out and take some photographs. But back then we didn't have the technology, and we didn't get phone signals or Wi-Fi. But yes, so that's a few of the things that I've seen. Going across the Indian Ocean, we used to see literally from horizon to horizon were just dolphins. They were just out there, like leaping all over the place. Absolutely amazing sight to see. But that has slowly died down. We don't see half as many dolphins as we used to see 30 years ago. But then again, the levels of plastic in the ocean have gone up. How much, I don't know. I'm not sure. But the amount of plastics in the ocean is absolutely phenomenal. You're going across the Indian Ocean and there's no land for miles in either direction. Yet you look down into the sea and there's not a square metre that goes by without having a piece of plastic in. So that's not coming from the UK. That's coming from places like India, Indonesia, Philippines, places like that. That the water, where the plastics are just allowed to flow out into the ocean. Around the UK waters, are pretty good, apart from the docks. The local docks down here in Hull, they're absolutely littered with plastic bottles, sweet wrappers, crisp wrappers, you name it, it's in there. And there's not many places that operate a cleaning service that go around to clean the rubbish from the surface of the water. There is a couple, I've seen a couple go around with it, and they just sift out the water. They put it through a sieve and the plastics go one way and the water goes back the other way. But yes, my last job that I had in Hull, we had a harbour seal inside one of the docks. Now the only way to get in and out of those docks is through the lock gates, and quite often we used to see it in the lock gate either coming in or going out. Which is quite smart of it, isn't it? So pretty clever seal. But yeah, when I was up in Scotland, I did see a humpback whale in Scotland, and that's quite a sight to see. The humpback whale. There were basking sharks, but I never got up to the bridge in time to have a look. They'd always disappear. But yeah, I think some of the ducks and stuff you get up there, the outer ducks, which you get the feathers for the pillows and stuff like that. They're quite pretty little things. But yeah, I've been to Canada, and I've seen some killer whales acting in pods. I've seen the duck that went on the Canadian note. One of their notes, there's a duck. I can't remember which one it was now. Some kind of duck. I do remember seeing that in the water. I've seen hammerhead sharks as well off Japan. As we were cruising to Japan one day, my job was on a Sunday was to go around testing all the safety gear. So I'd finished at the bow where the emergency fire pump is, and sometimes you keep the CO2 there as well. So you check out the CO2 room and then run the emergency fire pump, and then as per normal you go for a skive on deck. And I was just sitting there on the bow looking down, and I saw this rather pale blue shape just disappear. 1 minute it wasn't there, the next minute it was just a flash and a wriggle and it was gone. And so of course the next one that came up, I was ready for it, and so I was looking, and there were hammerhead sharks, quite big ones as well, as we were going to Japan. I don't know if you've seen the Attenborough program where the guy's underwater shooting up and there's all these hammerhead. Well, that's what I was doing, but looking down. And of course when you look down at them, They're perfectly camouflaged. You can't really make them out. It's only when they turn on their side and they show the lighter underside that you can pick them up through the water. But yeah, they were all basking at the top of the water, getting a bit of warmth from the sunlight, I suppose. And then they would just, as the bulbous bow came through, they would just peel off and go away. But yeah, I have seen dolphins playing at the bulbous bow. I've got some photographs, but they were back on the days when we only had stills film. So I've got photographs somewhere. But like you do, you just put them away and forget about them. But they're in a drawer or a cupboard or in a book somewhere. And I may get them out one day. Maybe not. Knowing what it's like. But yeah, so being a seafarer at sea, you do get to see the occasional odd thing. Like I say, the biggest thing I ever saw was the humpback, then the whale shark, killer whales, and all the various forms of dolphins, porpoises, and of course the giant manta ray. Yeah, it's all quite exciting, really. But yeah, come back for more, because I've got a few more stories of people who got their family jewels caught inside an engine. Yeah, you wait for that one. That was quite a funny one. Anyway, right, that's it. Catch you on the next one, and there will be a next one, guarantee. Okay, see you then. Bye.